Are you listening?
Yes, I am, because it's hello, I'm listening.
That could be the question every time.
Yeah,
At the
that's why I said
beginning.
it.
Which would be very annoying.
Yep.
Hello, are you listening? Huh?
Is there anybody out there? Or is it in there?
Hello, are you listening? Governor.
So hello, everybody. And
Hello.
welcome to the first episode of Hello, I'm Listening.
Hello, I'm listening. And if you're not listening, stop what you're doing and listen.
If they're not listening, they wouldn't hear you say any of that.
That's true. That's true.
This is the new podcast, although previously known as Translating Love.
It's not new. It's the same.
It's not really
But we
the same.
explained in the last episode.
I mean, it's basically the
Translating
same.
Love.
It's just more broad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same old shenanigans that you all have come to know and love.
So funny.
What if people were like, I'm really glad that they're changing up the podcast because they were sick of the shenanigans and they didn't want all of our nonsense. They're like, oh, finally it's going to be more like...
I'm glad they're changing the whole thing, but then it's the same shit.
And we started out with you like, hello.
Hello, governor. What you doing? I reckon you drinking tea, watching Harry Potter on your telly. Me mum always watched Harry Potter on the Sunday on our telly. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. It's enough now. Okay, so what are we talking to?
What are you doing to your cheeks?
Massaging them.
It looks super weird, like when you smile and you squish your cheeks like that. I wish you guys could see some.
I'm massaging.
You
my
look like the
cheeks.
Grinch from the Jim Carrey version of the Grinch.
I've been told that. Now, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about veganism.
That's not on my cheat sheet. It says, on my cheat sheet, it says...
You're looking at your hand.
Yeah, I've written something on my hand. It says, today's topic is why Danielle is always
awesome.
so annoying.
I said it first. It's awesome.
Annoying.
Let's dive in. Why is Danielle so awesome?
She's not. Topic done. Okay.
So nice.
No, but seriously.
No, but we're seriously.
We're talking about veganism.
We are.
So if you're not a vegan...
Be a vegan. Topic over.
No, we're not trying to be preachy vegan.
No.
It's not at all.
It's not our style.
And also we're not trying to be toxic vegans or like what are the militant vegans? That's the word. No. But rather
we're your friendly neighborhood.
We just
vegans.
Talk about why we're vegan.
Yeah.
And
maybe just throw out some facts your way that maybe you didn't know about, just to give you something to think about.
So, how long are we?
Almost
vegan?
4 years in May.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I remember the last time I ate
Me too.
meat. It was
We
gross.
both ate the same thing.
Yeah.
It was gross.
It was kind of gross.
It was not a satisfying last meat meal.
No. But why did we decide to go vegan?
I think that I had thought about it for a long time, but I was like many people. I often would say I could never be vegan.
Yeah.
Often.
Same.
Every time I would think about it, I would love the idea of going vegan, but then I instantly had the thought I could never do it. And I think the main push was it ended up being your IBS stuff. Yeah. But that was a good push to like get me to decide to finally do it because it's easier as a couple if you are doing it together.
Yeah. IBS is short for internal brain surgery. No, it's for irritable bowel syndrome. And almost everybody has it or it has experience.
A form of it. Or
symptoms
of it.
Or symptoms of it. Especially in stressful situation where you, for example, a lot of people have to poop when they are like right before at a stressful meeting or interview or test exam or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or when going into a bookstore. That has nothing to do with IBS, but look it up. A lot of people, by the smell of a bookstore, have to poop. And I'm one of those people.
Really?
Yeah. I looked it up because I was interested. I'm like, why do I have to poop every time disgusting. I go into Barnes and Noble?
So you shit your pants when you're
No, but I had to, I always had to like stop browsing so I can go to the bathroom.
Oh, that's so interesting.
It's but really weird.
The last time we were at the bookstore was in Milwaukee and you didn't go to the toilet?
Because it had a different smell.
It's so stupid.
But it's a real thing. Okay. It's a real thing.
Psst. Back to the topic. So
it's called irritable bookstore bowel syndrome.
Bowel shit.
Or BBS, bookstore bowel syndrome.
Okay. Yeah. So I had a lot of stress and other shit going on, and
literally
I needed to change my diet in a drastic way to address that, and we basically were vegetarian or half vegetarian at that point.
I was vegetarian for about 10 years.
Nobody cares.
And then
we're not talking about that.
I was vegetarian for about 10 years after I went to China and was disgusted by everything I saw in the meat markets there. And then I went to culinary school for a year and had to kind of wean myself back onto meat just so I could try the things that I was cooking. And then I ended up just eating meat.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I stopped meat and dairy and all the other stuff. Basically cold turkey.
Yeah.
From one day to the other. Which I would not advise.
You know, it depends on how much willpower you have. And how much meat you eat. Because we were eating meat, but not every day.
Yeah.
So for me, the hardest thing was cheese. And I had to wean myself off of cheese. Everything else I was able to cut out cold turkey. But from May until about August, I was slowly reducing my cheese cravings.
You didn't eat that much cheese.
I didn't eat that much cheese.
But yeah, and then it's funny because once you go vegan, your body takes, like they say, 6 to 12 months to adopt the lifestyle or the diet.
Well, and to adjust to like the bodily changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. So basically the whole, like the bacteria that is trained to what is it called? Digest meat, take it apart. Basically doesn't get any meat anymore. So it's not functioning. And so it takes a while to get rid of that bacteria. Also, what's disgusting, I don't know what the facts are on that, but if you eat meat, it stays in your body for a long time.
Years, I think. I'm looking it up. Keep talking.
Yeah. But so there are a lot of things that you have to adjust. And also, of course, if you change your diet, your body feels like it needs certain things. Like cheese, for example, can be addictive. And then you feel sluggish, tired, etc. But I think with all of that, you start to feel pretty good, pretty fast. Like you don't feel tired after eating, or you don't feel sluggish ever in terms of, like when you eat a lot of food, you don't feel super tired. I feel like you have to take a nap.
And that feeling of like being overly full.
Yeah.
Also doesn't happen, and it's fantastic.
Yeah. And the fun thing is nowadays you basically can't get anything vegan.
Well,
or make anything vegan.
That's actually an interesting topic because I often get the question, or not necessarily the question, but if people find out for the first time that I'm vegan, they often will say things like, oh yeah, it's getting much better for vegans to have more, like there's more vegan options in grocery stores. I'm like, but technically, yes, there's more vegan meat substitutes, but vegan options
We're always there.
were always there, and in more than enough quantities of vegan options.
Yeah.
I think there's more natural whole food vegan options than non-vegan options.
No, sure. I mean, what are we eating we eat cow, we eat chicken, we eat pig. That's it.
Some people eat duck.
But that's a small percentage. But that's essentially the meats that people eat. In a variety, obviously, and parts of the animal, but that's it.
Yeah.
And then with the meat, the potatoes or fries or rice.
It's usually a carb with the meats.
Sometimes vegetables, but that's it. So wow, the diet is very broad,
bland.
Yeah, it's funny because once you go vegan, you have to obviously, if you want to cook yourself,
which you should,
you have to look into things what you can make, and then you see that many different cultures cook vegan, like India and Mexican food.
I mean, here's something interesting for anyone listening just to quickly think about. If you're a meat eater or a vegetarian, think about your weekly menu. So like think about things that you cook at home. And I would be willing to bet that in 2 weeks' time, you eat the same meal at least twice.
Yeah, I would say too.
At least.
Yeah.
Most people will cook the same 4 or 5 meals.
I mean,
and once in a while branch out.
Yeah.
But when we were first starting and learning about vegan food and how to cook vegan, our variety of food was so expansive and we ate so many different things, and it was so rare that we would repeat a meal as often.
Yeah.
And it was also more interesting. It wasn't just like, here's your protein, here's your side dish, here's your veggie.
Yeah, that's true. And if you eat whole food, plant-based stuff, then you basically automatically are way more healthy. And you get way more nutrition that you would get out of a normal diet. But you still should look at your levels, obviously, and you should talk to your doctor if you want to try to do it more, and substitute things like B12 is a good start. Which funny fact that B12 is usually in the soil, but the soil is so used and was mistreated for so many years that the B12 is basically gone. So what farmers do, or the meat industry, they usually put B12 into the food.
They actually supplement the animals
so we,
with it.
As meat eaters, get B12 through the animal, which is kind of stupid. And it's the same with the fish. Like, people assume that omega-3 is in the fish because the fish produces it. No, it's not the case. The fish eats the plants,
algae,
like seaweed, algae, and stuff like that. That's where the omega-3 is. So you can get algae, pills and stuff to get omega-3, but don't have to kill a fish for it.
A kish.
Yeah.
Just to go back to the thing I said I was looking up. It is a myth that, from what I've very briefly researched here, that it stays for your body in years. However, it does stay in your body. Meat, we're talking about, stays in your body for much longer than most things because your body cannot digest it properly. And so it can take up to two to 3 full days for your meal to be completely digested, which is still a lot.
A long time. Yeah. And it's funny, once you start eating vegan, you have
digest
to go
so quickly.
Right. You have to go to the toilet a lot more, sometimes 2-3 days.
But not in a bad way.
No, not a bad way. No, not diarrhea.
It's always really good poop.
Yeah. It's funny. Once my body, like back when we started, once my body adjusted to the whole thing, I had the best poop all of the sudden. And the weird thing is, I assumed when I was like a meat eater that your poop is not the best, just like everybody has shit poop all the time, or most of the time. I didn't really understand that I had the worst poop most of the time because of stress and because of shit eating. That's funny. But I don't want to like preach that, oh, veganism is so awesome and blah, blah.
Oh, I do. I don't want to preach and like be in your face about like everybody needs to go vegan, but I do think everybody needs to reduce the amount of meat that they eat.
Let's talk
and
about
incorporate more
Let's talk about
vegan
that.
into their diet.
Why are we vegan?
Yes. So, I mean, we said that we started it mostly because of your IBS symptoms.
Health reasons.
And for me, in that moment, it was also just a good opportunity to start something I already wanted to start. And for me, it was always more about the animals.
Animal reason and environmental stuff.
But that's what I feel like is so interesting is that we each started for our own reasons. And the longer we were vegan, the more we learned about why it was so important for us.
Let's talk about those three aspects. Let's talk about health first. Like,
I mean, we kind of talked about health a little bit, but we can go a little deeper.
But let's talk about health benefits from a vegan diet. So, for example, here in Austria, you can get your blood work tested once a year. And they look at your blood, and if everything's fine,
I mean, you can do it more, but he means once a year that it's paid for by the insurance company.
And I noticed a significant a change in my blood work in terms of cholesterol and blood pressure. So I had higher blood pressure before I started being vegan, and cholesterol levels weren't that good. But once we adopted the vegan lifestyle, or I don't know what I want to call it. I want to call it diet because it's not a diet. Let's say lifestyle.
For some people, it's a diet, but then it's technically plant-based.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, then let's call it plant-based. Once we started a plant-based diet, my numbers were so much better.
Same.
So that is a massive bump in terms of your health.
I unfortunately didn't have a comparison when I first got my blood done here, but because I'd never done a blood work thing before. But you do have then a conversation with the doctor once your results are back, and they just go over and explain what all of the things mean. And he was also kind of dumbfounded, like, your blood work looks so good. And he said to me, you must have perfect nutrition.
What a fool. So, yeah, that is a big thing. I think a big thing is also that you recover faster in terms of sports. Like, I noticed once we went vegan that I mean, if I have a muskelkater, what is like sore muscles, then I recover much faster.
Yeah,
like
same.
In a day, half a day, I recover much faster.
For me, it used to be if I did a really good leg day or anything, if I did something really good, I would be sore for 3 days.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Gradually getting less, but 3 days of soreness. And now it's crazy. Like a day.
You can lose weight. Like if you already have like a, not like in terms of your what is it called, Stoffwechsel? Right.
Metabolism,
like not if something's wrong or you have a bad metabolism, but if you have like too much weight because you eat unhealthy.
But it can also improve your metabolism.
It does. No, it does. No. I totally agree. But you can actually lose weight because you don't eat as much shit as you would.
But that is disclaimer, obviously, not to say that vegans don't gain weight, because they can.
I did.
But also, it can be in a bad way. I think you gained weight in a good way.
Yeah.
But it can also be in a bad way.
Pandemic.
Because of people feeling like vegan is, or plant-based, I should say,
Automatically
is
healthy.
automatically healthy. And just because, oh, the label says vegan, then I can eat this super processed vegan meat substitute or vegan cheese substitute, and it's healthy. Not the case.
Yeah.
So you still have to be very aware of what you're eating and very conscious of what you're putting in your body.
Like, I never really gained weight. When I had my accident, I gained a lot of weight because I was just laying around most of the time, and I got a lot of shit pumped in my body, but I lost it pretty fast. But I never gained weight in a healthier way with my diet prior to veganism, which is kind of nice. So I'm not underweight anymore by like what is the standard?
The BMI, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't gain weight, but I didn't lose weight. I maintained without having to try. So I didn't really have to do anything special with the plant-based diet to maintain my weight, which is also nice. You're not having to constantly be like, oh, I'm eating too many carbs or I'm eating too many. If you're balancing things out really well, then it seems to be really good.
One more thing to that is that like the sex drive is better or can be better and improved. And let's go to the animal stuff. Why animal?
Well, I said already, I was vegetarian for 10 years.
Nobody cares.
But
nobody cares.
And for me, that was about the animals. And then I somehow kind of lost sight of that at some point.
Oh, I'm vegetarian for the animals. Meat.
Yeah. But I started looking more into what actually happens and how things actually happen and how those facilities work in the dairy industry. Because I already understood the meat industry mostly. But the dairy industry, I think a lot of people feel like if they're vegetarian, they're also doing it for the animals. A lot of people say, I'm going vegetarian for the animals, but you're actually not helping the animals.
No.
And I think that's what was the big eye-opener for me. That was like the push to be able to say, okay, I can do this.
Yeah. The thing is, I don't have anything against like farm animals or people who are treating the animals in a very respectful way and don't kill them on a mass level.
But there's still no such thing as a humane slaughter.
No. I'm not saying that slaughtering an animal in any way or form can be humane or nice. But I'm talking about the mass level compared to like local farmers who have like 10 animals or something like that. So I understand that, and I understand people who still decide to buy that meat and eat it. But the problem is the mass industry, the milk industry, who produce so much milk, cheese, meat, that it's not sustainable in the sense that we as humanity can, first of all, feed everyone with that, and second, use the planet to sustain that. It's not possible.
With the amount of, and this fact is by no means recently fact checked, it's something I read a long time ago, but with all of the grain and the soy that we grow for animals to eat, the animals that will be slaughtered, with all of that, you could end world hunger. They basically say you can feed everybody in the world like 3 times or something, where it's like you have enough food for the entire world to end world hunger.
It's pretty crazy.
It's nuts.
And most of us, at least in the Western civilization, we don't need meat to survive anymore.
Nope.
So it's purely a nice thing to have for some people because the taste, because of the texture, whatever. Even though the meat substitutes are pretty good these days.
They are really good.
These days. And I think it's all about how much you consume. I mean, I think it's just you should look at yourself and see, how much meat is on my plate every day or every week. and then reduce it gradually to a number that is sustainable, which
a lot of people say if you're a meat eater and you want to do better for the environment and do better, for the animals, you're still not doing better, but for the environment, at least you're doing the environment a massive favor. If you reduce your meat and say you eat 3 vegan meals a week or something, and you don't have meat with every single meal.
Yep. So the WHO says
the WHO.
WHO says that you should have meat at only 3 to 4 times a week, and that's the max amount. And meat is also a carcinogenic. Yeah. So it's cancerous, and that's it's basically like cigarettes. So too much processed meat, which lands on a lot of people's plate every day, is cancerous, which is crazy. And then let's quickly talk about the milk industry.
Well, before that, I just want to talk about chickens since we're on the topic of meat. But first of all, I recommend, we'll link it in the bio. There's a really fabulous book called Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer. And Jonathan Safran Foer is a beautiful writer. He wrote Everything is Illuminated. If you've seen that movie, it's fantastic. So the way he talks about going vegan and why he went vegan is not preachy. It's more he's telling a story. And so it's very interesting to read and you learn a lot. But something that stuck with me the most in that book is he was talking about chickens. And he was talking about there's the broiler chickens and the layers. And the broilers are the ones that are bred to be eaten. And the layers are the ones who are meant to lay eggs for egg consumption. And for the eggs, the females lay these eggs. They're usually given hormones to be able to produce these eggs at ridiculous amounts that they would never produce in their lifetime. And any egg that... Some of the eggs are hatched. Obviously, some of them are sent off, but some of the eggs are hatched so they can create more eggs. And the males are just killed. Because they don't need them.
We know those videos.
We know the videos, but they're killed in a very horrible way. They're on a little conveyor belt and they get thrown into a shredder, essentially, alive. These sweet little baby chicks.
And that shredded shit sometimes ends up in like dog or cat food.
And
it's horrible.
With the broiler chickens, they're always male. And they are also given typically some sort of injections, or they're bred in a way that when you see in the store a massive chicken for cooking, like a roasting chicken, that's not normal for it to be that big. They're bred to be up to 75% bigger than what they should be.
There are pictures of chicken from the 1900s and compared to chickens from now. And it's crazy how much we as humans bred and deformed those animals to be more consumable. And it's the same with the milk industry. So a cow doesn't give milk naturally 365 days a year.
A cow is a mammal, just like us. So I do not produce breast milk unless I am pregnant and have a child. It's the same with a cow.
So they get artificially inseminated a couple of times a year, multiple times just through their hands up a vagina, and a shit ton of hormones, and that makes them basically lactate the whole year around. And after around 3 to 4 years, they can't produce any anymore because they're just empty. They're empty shells. They usually have diseases on their udders, and they get killed. And the life expectancy of a cow is...
It's in their 20s at least.
20 to 30 years. And we kill them after 3 to 4 years.
Because they don't produce anything for us
anymore. And the milk industry, the male calf, is worth nothing. So they kill it.
And if they don't kill it, if it meets certain requirements, they take it to basically a slaughterhouse where it grows up there. And then gets killed for meat.
The calves, like the female calves, get taken away from the mother because they are not allowed to drink the milk, obviously, because that's for us.
Yeah.
And they get like some substitute and are basically in this
and they're kept in these horrible
Yeah,
conditions.
yeah.
There's no such thing as a happy dairy cow.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it doesn't exist.
Let's talk about the environmental stuff.
Just really quick, I do want to add, just for anybody out there, think for just a second. If you drink milk, just think about what it means. You know, it's from the teat of another living being.
Yeah.
You would not drink human breast milk unless
Or
you're
dog
a
milk.
fetus, or dog milk.
Or donkey milk.
You know, all of those things are mammals. They all produce milk, and you're drinking the milk from a mammal that is
Yeah.
not of your species. It's not to mention any hormones that they're giving to these cows to
You
produce this milk.
take
You are
in,
also
yeah,
drinking
yeah.
because it's in the milk.
Also-
So you are drinking hormones that are not supposed to be in your body, or that are going to make your own hormones in your body spike.
Yeah. And I mean, just the fact that we're the only mammals who choose to drink milk after we're a certain age is crazy. Just that fact is pretty crazy.
I mean, the fact alone that someone was like, let's drink the breast milk from this
the
animal.
thing is, I get it. In the 1800s, they needed to. They needed to.
And
But
that's the
now we
same in any,
don't.
there are tons of countries who might still need that. And we don't have anything
true.
against
Totally true.
people who actually need it as a resource to survive.
Yeah.
But we in the
But
Western
again,
civilization
those
don't need
people
that.
have one cow and they milk it once in a while, and then they have the milk.
Yeah.
Those people don't have a mass industry who sends them the milk.
And they're probably also
Yeah.
not inseminating it with
Probably
hormones
not. Probably
and injecting
not.
with
Maybe,
hormones.
Probably not. I don't
They're
know.
probably breeding the cows.
But let's quickly go into the environmental stuff and then end this
Yes.
thing because it's going on for too long. So, I mean, all of that shit, like with the animals, like the mass production of meat and
We already
milk,
talked about the grain and the soy, and all of that is needed from somewhere.
Right.
So the resources alone, the water
feed
alone,
and
to grow the
breed and
plants
grow.
that feed these animals.
and then the water to produce the meat essentially and the food, so
Yeah.
to feed them and make them grow. It's the crazy thing to me is just so I eat meat to get certain like nutritious things like B12, for example, or protein.
Iron.
So wait, what does a cow, for example, eat? Grass. Okay, so
And grains.
right, so a cow gets that protein obviously from those grass sources or grains or whatever, and it's not like a cow produces protein. It's not just there. We don't.
We
produce
also don't
protein.
produce
No.
protein.
So we basically eat all that stuff through an animal that ate it before. So why don't go directly to the source? Like with the fish, you don't have to eat fish to get
You
omega-3.
can take algae pills.
Right. Or eat algae.
Yeah.
There are a lot of algae sources, or algae-based foods.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy. And slowly but steadily, we destroyed our environment by that. Like the rainforest gets deforested because of space for growing grains, food for the animals, and for the animals itself, because we need so many.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the cows produce a lot of methane, which is much worse than the CO2 we pump into the air every day.
Mm-hmm.
So all that together is heating up the planet, and we basically kill ourselves by eating shit.
By what you choose to eat, you make a massive difference on the environment and climate change.
Yep.
And one person, sure, they can, we've gotten this before. Oh, but just you two people being vegan can't make a difference.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe, but we at least make a difference on our own carbon footprint.
Yeah.
And to me, that's important, that I reduce my own carbon footprint. And if more people thought like that, then we actually would collectively make a difference.
Yeah.
And at the rate that we're going, this beautiful planet of ours is not going to survive.
Yeah.
And it's so selfish, I think, of human beings to complain about climate change, but then in return not do anything against it.
Yeah, I agree.
When it's so easy to do something against it. And again, not saying you have to go fully vegan, but reduce, be a little more aware, and reduce the things that you buy. Don't support these mass industries of meat and dairy.
Yeah.
Find other solutions and just learn a little. I think it's important that we expand our knowledge on things like this.
I mean, for example, if you don't eat meat or any animal product per day, you save a lot of water. For example, a vegan uses like around 300 gallons of water a day. A vegetarian is around 2,200 gallons, and a meat eater is at 4,000 gallons
Woof.
a day. So add up that to a year. And with water, obviously comes land, CO2. So all the stuff that goes into producing those animal products, and electricity and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. You save a lot of water resources by simply adapting 3 or 4 days, the more the merrier, of veganism per week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not about giving up any lifestyle. It's about living a more sustainable and conscious life.
And all of that goes along with not just the plant-based diet, but a vegan lifestyle in general,
obviously,
where you're paying more attention. Where are my clothes coming from? Where, I'm not going to buy something that's made of leather. And, trying to buy more secondhand things because of the carbon footprint alone of all of these clothes being mass produced.
The thing is, we are not stupid. We all know where most of our things are coming from, and we all know when we pay cheap prices because it's produced in China. We probably know that some kids may have been involved. And with the same thing with meat, we know that those animals were killed. We try to ignore it, which is fine. I don't want to watch animals being killed all the time. And nobody wants that, being told all the time. But by adapting a vegan lifestyle, is you be more aware of things, and you can still enjoy things. We're not saying don't enjoy things, but just be more conscious about it.
Be aware of, I feel like we as human beings in the day and age that we're living in are very entitled.
Yeah.
And not maybe on purpose. I'm not saying that we all feel entitled, but we are entitled.
No, we are.
And we come off that way. We act that way by knowing things and choosing to ignore them.
Yeah.
And I think it's just important, especially for the animals. Just think about these animals have feelings. They have thoughts. They're intelligent. I mean, pigs are smarter than dogs. And I think people don't pay attention to that or don't choose to realize. The
last thing I want to say is that I'm vegan now for almost 4 years. And I wish I would have done it sooner.
Me too.
I remember I followed a friend on Instagram a couple of years ago. Shout out to Martina. And she is vegan. And she told me all about that. And I remember telling her I could never do that.
Yeah, I had the same conversation with her.
Yeah, and a year later, I was going vegan. Yeah.
And now again, I could never imagine going back.
And I wish I would have done it sooner, like way sooner. Because it opens your eyes in so many ways and you feel better.
Yeah.
And shittier because you know many more things which suck. But yeah. So that's it.
That's it.
That's a long episode, so we're sorry about that.
But I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
And I hope that it at least makes some of you think and just think about being more conscious, think about being more kind to other living beings, and remember that these beings are beings
It would
who
be
have
interesting
feelings.
to, if some of you guys have any thoughts on it, or
Questions?
is vegan, or tried being vegan, or whatever, message us on Instagram or email.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
And yes, you can get everything you need from plants.
Yeah, you can.
Goodbye. Oh, before we say
What?
goodbye,
What?
if there are questions, I feel like you said they can reach out, but
Yeah.
on Anchor, you can send us
yeah.
a voice message.
Yeah, please do that. We want to encourage that more. We want to put your voice message into the podcast and then answer it on the podcast.
We will just link it in the description. So all
We'll
you have
link
to
all
do
of
is
it.
click and you'll be able to leave us a voice message and it'll get featured on the podcast and
Yes.
we'll answer all your questions.
Unless that's
As best we can.
profanity. So please send voice messages with profanity.
Like
We beep it out.
penis.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Goodbye.